we've covered ground on where is this augmented reality ecosystem heading? What are the opportunities for lens developers? What are brands doing? What is the best in class work? Now let's bring all that back to India, to brands, to advertisers, to what's really happening in the last couple of years, and what is the kind of work that Snap has been doing with brands directly. So to that, I'm going to be introducing you to three panel members. All three of them are deep within the sponsored AR work. So working with brands on lenses that deliver to marketing objectives. So let me start by introducing Sidhi Mishra from Tyroo AR. Yeah. Sumeet Basak from Ronin Labs. And Adhvith from AliveNow. Let's go. Let's go. All right. So first, guys, thanks so much. I know you stayed back for this session, and I think it will be really helpful to the audience. I, of course, know you guys very well. In terms of context, Sidhi leads creative for Tyroo AR. Tyroo AR is a key monetization partner for Snap in India, and they moved into the space of building AR lenses about 2 years back. Sidhi leads a team of AR developers. Some of them are in this room, and you would have seen a lot of their work over the past 2 years. Uh, Adhvith is the co-founder of AliveNow. AliveNow is one of the first large AR firms in the country that's working on sponsored AR across the spectrum of web to social AR, gaming, and a lot of experiences cross-platform. Adhvith has a very rich sort of experience in how to build up and scale up a business within AR. So it'll be very useful to hear from him and his lean on his experience. And finally, with Sumeet, we have the latest sort of addition to the family of lens developers that Snap's working with. Sumeet represents Ronin Labs. Ronin Lab again is an AR tech firm. Building on the history of being game developers first and then moving into the space of AR. With Ronin Labs, we have started working on organic lenses and actually exploring what are the interesting spaces that we can work with. So with that, let me start by just introducing you guys to some of the work that each of these firms is doing. So with Tyroo, you can see that Tyroo's experience crosses a lot of brands that we work with. Particularly some showcase work that I wanted to pull out is the kind of work that we did together for Flipkart. Now, when you think about lenses like this, it is really about taking a brief about savings and particularly tying it back to a key campaign asset. In this case, it was the Flip Girl, which was Alia Bhatt, and then how can you let consumers or Snapchatters actually live that experience and take back key marketing sort of messages from that. This lens has done really well. Second is Yippee Sunfeast. I'll let Sidhi talk about it a lot more, but very cool lens showcasing the different flavors of Yippee pasta. The third and the fourth are particular areas where Tyrus like started to lean in on quite a bit, which is in try-on lenses. So you will see both the Mama Earth and the B Blunt example are examples of try-on lenses where the users actually just flipping through a carousel and each sort of swipe of the carousel is laying on a new try-on experience from where they can go and purchase the product. AliveNow. Lots of different experimentations across the board from voice ML lenses that we worked together for the last FIFA World Cup that recognized the voice input and let you cheer for any team around the world. Work that we've done extensively on OnePlus, including laying the entire journey of OnePlus phones in terms of tech innovation, which are overlaid on the world. Specific moment-based lenses like Zepto, which allow you to allow the Snapchatters to take back a key message that Zepto is trying to deliver, which is the 10-minute delay done through a gamified lens. And finally, again, moment-based lenses like the one that they just released for Red Bull. That was a Navratri lens that changed colors for every 9 days of Navratri. And then finally with Ronin Lab, it's been a lot of experimentation within the uh, organic lens space. Experiments like this wobble head lens, big fan of it, right? Just thinking about what are the kind of experiences that Snapchatters in India will really like, and working back from that in terms of understanding what does the technology allow for. This 6-day lens, I mean, it's excellent. Uh, Chandrayaan lens, I think this was featured earlier in Jeremy's presentation as well. And then finally, one of my favorites, which is the truck. Okay, horn. Horn, okay, please, let's. All right, cool. That's enough from me. Let's start. So, not yet. All right. So I just wanted to get a sense from the three people on stage. Just a flavor of what kind of AR do they enjoy themselves. So, Sumit, let's start with you. Give me a sense of a lens that you particularly like.
Most of the time I've always liked those lenses which are funny. I mean, it just starts and it starts tickling your words, and you know that you've connected with that lens well. So one of them like that was obviously the crying filter, right? You've seen those lenses where you just point it on anyone else, and even though they're happy and they're laughing, and you just see they're sobbing all the time. It's amazing. Another one which is a great technological marvel, I would say, is the key meat filter done by Sanders. I mean, it was also referred a little earlier today. So what it does is it just takes all the blacks and the shadows from you, and then erases everything else. So it would just seem that a ghost is walking in the room. I mean, it's literally brilliant. So yeah, these are the two top ones for me.
Nice. Sidhi?
We had experienced like a lot of fun interactive AR, gamification lenses. But I always think that AR has much more potential to be explored in different ways. So Pradeepa is sitting here. I just talked to her, and she made a lens on World Environment Day, where you scan the monument, the Mahabalipuram lighthouse, and it shows, that how it covers the plastics, all the plastics, how it is, affecting us, all the climatic changes and happening, and how you can actually transform it. Basically, the whole idea is how AR can start conversation around the things that we often miss, or maybe, it's not coming into the conversation. So it's going beyond that, what we are seeing this around. So it's making you more participative and interactive in the whole journey. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that answer. Also, I think you're right. One of my sort of pet topics to discuss is how can we use AR to influence behavior, and what can we do there? Yeah, Adhvith.
So actually, one of my favorite lenses on Snap is a very, very old one. That's actually one of the first lenses that I used that actually got me hooked onto Snap was the rainbow vomit filter. I think it's an all-time classic even now. It's just hilarious. And the more recent one, I think that showed the power of tech and the power of camera and power of AR, and it just truly kind of blew my mind, was the baby face, right? So, I mean, that kind of become a small viral thing in our family group where I took a baby face, used a lens, took a filter, and actually put my photo from like 25, 30 years ago. Then my sister did it, and then we did it on my mom, and then my brother-in-law, and that's like an amazing way to where you use AR and tech and connect with people, and it was a bit emotional as well. So that baby face lens was, it kind of ticked all the boxes. It was really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, the baby face one. I mean, the number of like times that I've had people react to it in a very, very surprising and shocking way. That's a great way to introduce somebody to Snapchat, right? Even to like just break the ice in a meeting, like you open that up. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I just want to add one more thing, and this was actually quite shocking. The lens where you change your gender, right? So I actually tried that on myself. and I was almost 90% or 95% looking like my sister. And I put it on the group and they were like freaking out. And that was another great lens, yeah.
I'm not 100% your sister will agree with that. All right, cool. I think what's interesting here is that if you think about Sumeet, Ronin Labs, right, decided to build a business moving from developing games to now building a business in AR. So with Adhvith, with AliveNow, taking a bet much ahead of the curve. And what you heard from Yusuf about like taking this early bet, these guys are taking this bet much before, right? And it takes a certain amount of conviction plus a certain amount of like backing yourself to do it. And now with Sidhi and Tyroo same. So one by one, maybe we can start the other way around. Advait, why don't we start by just talking about why does AR excite you and why did you decide to build a business in this space?
Yeah, sure. So the answer to that was actually very simple. AliveNow actually started as a typical social media agency, digital agency in 2009-10. So up to 2015-16, we were exposed to the usual agency on record. We do creative, we do posts, we do tweets, we do the usual stuff, right? And then once we started observing that there's a lot that you can do when you marry creativity with technology. The first kind of insight into that was gaming and then AR. And with AR, what we realized from the early days and then obviously more prominently now is that advertising, marketing, and getting a message out at the end of the day is about evoking emotions from the other person, whether it's delight, whether it's joy, whether it's some kind of a reminiscing about the past. It's most successful ads or most successful messages happen when some kind of an emotion is tickled. And what we realized is that AR is able to tickle more emotions than a normal photo or a video or a normal piece of content, right? So with AR, whether it's your hand, your face, you can try on stuff, you can do funny things. It just brings out another layer of messaging through for a brand that is basically non-existent in any of these other mediums. So that's when we realized that okay, there's a huge opportunity to do a lot of new, interesting, innovative things in this space, and that's why we kind of went all in. I think about 5 years ago, and then we've been working very closely with you, and that's kind of why we think it's exciting. And it's only getting better and better. It's devices are getting more powerful. People have more people have smartphones in their hands, and I think it's come to a point where the AR ecosystem has matured so much that end users don't even have to be educated about ARs anymore. Like they basically get it. Like there's no like open the camera, do this. They get it. So that only means there's going to be more lenses, more brands are going to be interested. There's going to be more time spent. Technology is only going to be getting better and better. So it's an exciting next few years as well.
Nice. Sidhi, where's the conviction in AR coming from, and why did Tyro decide to move into the space to build lenses?
Right. So I think Advith rightly said that how it evokes emotions. My perspective on AR is that it's a two-way communication. In other medium, be it a static ad or a video ad, it's just a one-way communication from brand to consumers. But in AR, we know how consumers are responding back to us. They are talking back to us. They are taking away an experience that leaves stays in their memory for a longer time. It gives more engagement. And another thing is that often AR is understood or more popular for just an engagement purpose, just for a fun activity. While I strongly feel, having worked for almost more than 2 years, that it is a part of across the marketing funnel, from the awareness to the engagement, consideration, and in fact, as we showed, the trial lenses. So it is for the direct response too. So it is part of the across the marketing funnel. So that's where the convictions come that we can make AR a part of the whole branding and marketing journey.
Sumit?
So I would do two-prong answer to this. First of all, as Ronin Labs is the core is always been into gaming and game tech, and before Ronin Labs, I used to run my own startup around gaming, and we used to face similar kind of challenges that the brands of today they face. You have to get your product out there, make it visible. You have to engage with your audience. You have to retain these audiences on your social channels or wherever, and then eventually you are going to convert them into a paying user. Same challenges, right? In gaming, it has been done a little differently. In advertising and in branding, it's been done a little differently. But then there's a neat little bridge that could be drawn in amongst these two. So there are great levels of game techniques that can be employed here too. So that is one part of the answer. The other part of the answer is it goes down back when I was in school playing games, and I always used to think, why can't I play Doom outside of the computer? Maybe just running around in my bedroom with my guns in my hands, right? So fantasy, it was then, even and then the technology never existed. Now it does, and having a gaming as a background, getting the games outside of your gaming, devices out there in your real life. I mean, that is the driving force behind Ronin Labs to get into AR, build all of these experiences that are going to be so engaging and rewarding for the user, and then obviously for the brand as well.
So I think what's interesting to me, and it's there in the sort of answer that each of you gave me, is also give me a sense of what are you seeing on the demand side. How have conversations with marketeers or with brands evolved? What are the questions they used to ask? What are the questions they're asking today? Whoever wants to go first.
I can also pick this up because I've been talking to brands for a longer time, and one like the type of the format, if I talk about the try-on lenses, as we always say, the try before buy. That's what AR has done. It is not only helping consumers to shortlist what they actually have to buy, cut down on their time, in selecting what they have to buy. Also, it is helping brands to cut down on the returns, maybe. That's a really valid point, that how it is helping both brands and consumers. That's where brands are asking for more such kind of innovations, which is helping them to bring more business and more clarity of thought from consumers also, that what exactly they want to buy. So that's where it is helping both consumers and brands.
Just to add on to what Sidhi said, and to answer your question, basically AR has evolved from maybe about 3-4 years ago to let me do something for fun, let me do something for the sake of doing it, to tick off a box, let me do something that falls in the R&D, experiential, experimental part, to now where can AR actually drive business? Can AR actually drive conversions? Can I build and create AR experiences that I can actually measure and help my top line, bottom line? So those are the kind of conversations that we have seen. So that's very, very encouraging actually, because when a brand looks at a huge media budget, most of the time the biggest chunk of the media budget goes into stuff that actually drives business, and there's a very small portion that goes into experimentation and all that. And that shift is happening, it's already happened, but I think it's already happening.
Yes, Amit, please.
So my observation is, I mean, I completely second your thoughts, and I see and feel that shift changing from the brand's perspective. 4 years back, when we were actually pitching AR ideas as a part of the whole gamification campaigns for certain brands. For us, it was a very hard push. We really had to push it down. It's really going to be a very great experience as an extension to your existing campaign. However, right now things have changed. I mean, we don't have to push it down. They've always come back to us saying that, hey, can we do this in AR first? They want to think of their campaigns as AR first campaigns, and the remaining stuff like your regular ad campaigns as they're running, just to support whatever AR has been doing. Another big shift that we've seen is that a couple of years back, when we were speaking to brands or agencies, their idea of doing AR was basically just doing the same thing as they were doing in print and video, but on a camera, right, on flat 2D space. And our struggle at that time was to push them back, saying that this is not really AR, right? You're just doing another, static campaign on a camera. I mean, it's just doesn't work like that. But now it's completely changed. They look at great experiences from brands done locally and even internationally, and they say we want this, we want better than this. What can we do more in terms of AR? So that really has opened up a lot of opportunity, and it just helps us do the best and deliver the best.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of what I've seen change over the last 3 years. I've been at Snap for 3.5 years. Is I think one, the marketeers themselves have educated themselves, like so they're a lot more exposed to what's happening around the world. They get it, right? They get that augmented reality is here. They're seeing work. They're talking to their colleagues in other markets. They're seeing that this is something that is happening across platforms, definitely on Snapchat. The other is that some of them have experimented with AR themselves, and only after you've done your first campaign do you start seeing numbers. Do you start realizing, oh, this is a real thing. There's actual engagement, and look at this, like and then the conviction within the organization builds. I still think on the other end of the spectrum, I think there is more to be done in terms of that education. I think one of the things that I often realize is that because uh, unless you're using Snapchat, you're not going to come across these experiences very often, right? You have to be like, you have to go out of your way to go to one of their websites and be like, okay, let me see what campaigns, or come to Snap's website and see what's happening with Indian brands, but or have be in touch with the Snap team. But I think that's one thing that we all can do better at, which is just like putting a lot more focus on the work that's happening, because I think there is a massive underestimation in terms of sponsored AR work in India. There is, I mean, we all are in the business and we've all been in the business, for the last 3 years, and there's been a lot of work, innovation going on. So I think there's something more to be done from our end as well in terms of like highlighting it. Okay, so related to that, and this is a question to both this is a question that's relevant to both media teams, creative teams, other folks in the room. What makes a good AR brief? Uh, and where do brands often, where do they get it right? What can they do better? Again, maybe we can start with whoever wants to start, and we'll go in that side.
First thing is don't say do din mein chahiye. Most important thing in any AR brief. But on a serious note, I think the objective, what the brand is trying to achieve with this AR experience is very important. And why I say that is because what ends up happening is they say ki give me a concept or an idea, and we go back with 3-4 concepts based on what the brief is. But then they say like, nee, that lens I saw this happening, and this lens I saw that other thing happening. Well, what about the front camera? No, back camera also something should happen. Face is important. So it kind of becomes all over the place, right? So I think the first thing is the objective of what is a brand trying to achieve is very important. The second, and I think very important thing is brands and media teams sometimes have to uh, trust us and trust maybe the Snap team a bit more than they usually do, because we've done this before and we know what works and what doesn't work. And that sometimes becomes a challenge because they say, no, it doesn't matter. You put this also and do that also, and we want to take the lens live. So these are kind of two things that immediately come to my mind.
Okay, so my experience suggests that it has to be from the ideation stage, ideation from the agency or the brand's level when they're thinking of a campaign, new campaign launch. AR should not be considered as as an extension, but the part of the main brainstorming of the umbrella campaign. It has to be there because, as I mentioned in my previous answer, that AR can be used in awareness, it can be used in engagement, it can be used in consideration or DR. So it has to be thought from the very conceptualization stage, and from that onwards, maybe the creative team from the agency side, from our side, we all can jam together that what AR can serve what purpose. Maybe some An AR for shareability would be different from an AR for awareness, or maybe what we are trying to achieve in conversion. So it has to be thought through from the very conceptualization stage. And secondly, definitely the timings, because each type of an AR requires different production time. We need different assets and all that. So we need to have that kind of timings, pre-planned in a very properly timely manner. So that's it.
Sidhi, just for the room, do you want to give a sense of what does timing for AR look like?
So usually it starts like a week's time on an average. Few lenses are so easy to build, like that can be built within 3 to 4 days. Like we have like the best part of the lens studio is it has a lot of templates. It allows our creators or even the non-creators also that who can simply use those ready-to-made templates, and brands can utilize that. So depends on the objective. I think as Adhvith mentioned, what is your objective? And it starts from like a week's time. It can go up till 15 days probably, but yeah, depends on what we are trying to achieve.
Great. Sumit, what does a good AR brief look like?
I second with Adhvith's point that the objective is at the core of everything, and the moment that objective is clear, that uh, this is what the brand is trying to achieve. They want to get their product known. They are going to assist your customers during the consideration stage, or are you doing conversions? So that's going to be the core of it. Another thing that is generally very helpful for us as creators and makers of these AR effects is that we generally may know your target audience, we may not know your target audience. So the more information you share with us at the brief level itself, that this is a brand, their target audiences are say Tier A cities, or maybe if you're doing maybe Horlicks, so it's going to be like pan India, it's going to be anywhere and everywhere. So understanding a target audience will also be very important to design and craft a great AR experience. So I think these two things are going to be paramount, and timeline obviously it's to do great work we need decent amount of time, but understanding the objective and the TG, there might be some wiggle room in between where we can strike a very good balance in between great art, great experience, and achieving unbelievable timelines. So
Yeah, absolutely fair. I think linked to that, the way I would think about the next question is, do you have an example of a AR lens that you've worked on or your team has worked on that you particularly liked, either for the problem that it solved or for the execution or for the results? Again, this time, Sumit, maybe we can start with you.
sure. Actually, two things. One is sponsored lens that we had done for OnePlus, and the other one is one of the organic content that we created. I'll start from the organic one. So the brief was to create something for the Indian audiences, and we knew that the way that we start with is with research. So we went out and we saw what kind of existing user base is of Snapchat, who are these people, and we realized they're mostly either 22, right from 18 all the way to 35, 40. So, and the larger amount is going to be females. So we got all of those information and stats out. Then what we did is we basically went out and we started to speak to these guys. So luckily where our office is based, it's in Pune, which is next to Symbiosis, if anyone of you know, it's a college. And we were able to get about 50 to 80 or students to come and help us with some sort of a survey on what you like, what you don't like in an AR. Do you know that you can play games, or what kind of AR do you use the most? And so basically with that we got a lot of information, and basis on that information it helped us make the right choices, and therefore that bobblehead was it originated from there. So, and if I may, it's got about, it did like do like extremely well. It's just about 1 month or 1.5 months in, and we've got about 22 million views on it organically. So clearly shows that the moment you tap into the pulse of your target audience, they are the ones who will be advocating for the lenses that you create, and they'll just spread around word of mouth. The second part was where we were doing it for OnePlus, where they wanted to come up with their own buds, and it's a truly wireless, and a couple of features that were given out. And so they asked us, hey, we need to build some sort of a great experience for you. So just because it was buds and AR has to be come in, so how do you do with audio and AR? We used a very simple game mechanic, which was basically a maze. But imagine if you're in the maze, but you're not able to see the maze, but you'll only be able to hear audio, and you just have to move towards a place where the audio is coming on from. And it is as simple as you sit on one place, point your phone, and as 180 degrees, you'll be able to hear audio is coming from here. So then you tap and you go and get closer. That way, you just basically hear, and then you just get closer to it. While that is happening on the screen, we are just bringing out what do you call sonar pinning kind of visuals on the screen, so that it's not just audio only, but it's audio and visual as well. So again, understanding the brief, understanding the target audiences, and what is the core objective that the brand needs to be putting out. Everything packaged together, and we have a great output there.
Yeah, I love that answer. Oh, I mean, the idea of like going on a treasure hunt just with your ears and then connecting that back to the brand and its product is really good. Sidhi?
So I think my answer would be the Flipkart lens that you just showed. This very special lens to our team as well. That was like the first, in-house sponsored lens that we did. If I talk about the journey, so the brief that we got from Flipkart was, okay, so we all know that Flipkart is already dominant in online e-commerce space, but they were coming up with super fast delivery. That's like the 1 hour delivery plus 1 day delivery for home appliances in the other category. The whole idea was it's super fast, super brands at super fast delivery speed. Now, so that and another another extension of that the whole campaign is the brand ambassador is Alia Bhatt. Alia Bhatt is shown as a shop a flip girl who is shown into this the entire flipverse. Now there are two ways of looking at it. One, we think of a format, and another way is, or another addition to this, that how we marry a format with storytelling or taking user on a journey. Now to bring this whole excitement about that, you have got this super fast delivery of the product, how you'll make people excited about that irresistibility of that, just buying all the products that I can at super fast delivery speed and super prices. So we create this whole gamification lens where every shopper was turned into a flip girl. That is the Alia Bhatt's avatar of that flip girl. So we use that technology of the facing, the cutout or the facing body of this Alia Bhatt version, and we made that character or the user goes on a very super fast journey of trying and buying, catching everything that you can in that whole space, in that whole flipper space. Now. In a very simple way, we could have think of, okay, let's do some gamification. But why gamification? Why is it relevant for this brief? Because we are showing people into a super fast journey of catching everything that you can at a very super fast speed. So that's how I think you marry an objective with a format and weave it into a storytelling format. So that's how we got into this thing. And definitely the whole response on this AR list was big, like in terms of the engagement, the play time, that is the number of seconds average people are playing with this lens was humongous. I think that was the best at that particular point of time a year back. And now we're seeing this kind of gamification or maybe organic trends catching up space in the sponsored category too. So yeah.
Yeah. That Flipkart, Flipgirl AR lens, that's a published case study. So if anybody
Yes.
wants to go and check out the numbers, it's available online. Adhvith, what about you?
So actually, during the Football World Cup last year, I think there was one lens that we built that was one of my favorites, and I again had some great numbers on it. So why is it's because it's just at that time Snap had released Voice ML. So we were, and that's the one thing that we love about Lens Studio, that you guys keep coming out with new stuff. And we were experimenting, and then because there was the Soccer World Cup coming out, we built this lens for Geo Cinema, who were the streaming partners. And when we were doing the R&D itself for the lens, we were amazed with the accuracy of SnapML, with the accuracy with which it was detecting the names of the 32 countries, right? So that was a really, really nice lens. So even when we used it and internally were testing it, and then when we kind of put it out, people were pretty amazed that it could recognize whatever country I say of one of the 32 countries, and it was immediately there. And it even understood nuances like US or USA or United States. So whatever you said, it understood that you're talking about the US, and it puts the US flag on you. And even though this was a lens that was built for India, for GeoCinema, just looking at some numbers, we noticed that there was a lot of global usage as well because it was a soccer World Cup and people from like all over the world, they were using the lens to just, send out cheers to their team. So the visuals were pretty straightforward. I mean, there was nothing fancy in that, but we still had to keep it simple, right? Because we had to build 32 different team, cheers into a single lens. But the wow factor was definitely the voice ML and the recognizing the name of the country. So that was a big success and a very interesting lens that we built.
Yeah, that's awesome. For everyone here in the room, Lens Studio is Snap's lens development platform. It's an open source platform. You can download it. Anybody can start building lenses. So just to round off this session, the last question I have for the panel is, what do you or your team like about Lens Studio? And I know that every other competing platform also has their Lens software. So particularly about Lens Studio, what is it that you like? Again, this time maybe we'll start with you, Sumeet.
Um, I personally like the whole inclusion of GLSL, which is like the shader language, and specifically from gaming and programming background, that helps in adding of those extra special effects and the VFX. So I won't take names of other competitors, but while my game developers, they have been working on that. The moment they touched Lens Studio, they were completely glued on to it. Like, yeah, this is very close to native game development as how we've been doing it. So we can, they find it they find it very easy to work for. And also like how Sidhi mentioned that there are these presets that they already come with. Like there are ML-based presets, there are head tilt, and so many other presets. It just helps everyone to very rapidly prototype any simple idea and concept. You just quickly prototype in a couple of hours, and then you test, and you know that you can, is this really nice, it's going to work out, what more changes can we do onto it. And therefore just building on top of Lens Studio, this whole rapid prototyping and with the ability to add real graphic programming on top of it, I think that's what is I like the most about it.
So,
Well, so I think my team, their experience is that the Lens Studio, it's so self-explanatory and it's so easy to learn that even if you are not a programmer or a, very learned developer, you still have a way to find your, different ways of learning it, different ways of exploring your creativity, because the templates are there and it's so easy, and there are like different guides also, like the video guides, tutorials are so easy that they actually can find solution to the problems whatever they are facing. Another important advantage that I also have experienced, like for sponsored lenses, that if I'm creating a lens, there are like real time, the data, or maybe how it is responding back. That okay, if there is some issues arriving, I can identify it at the very beginning stage, and I can keep finding a solution. The technical glitches or any kind of thing. So it is something that you can, probably plan it in a better manner. So yeah, and definitely templates are there. So and the UI, I think it's so easy for them to understand. So yeah, it makes it very easy for them.
Adhvith.
Yeah, so I also tend to second what Sumit said, given that we have a unit in AliveNow that builds games, web-based games. So I completely relate to what you're saying. Our AR development team absolutely loves working on Lens Studio, and there are actually a couple of reasons. One, we've seen that Lens Studio tends to innovate and give out more features on a more frequent, regular basis. Two, there are many unique features that are available on Lens Studio that are not there on some of the competing platforms. For example, one of the really cool features is the detailed level of hand tracking, right? So there was a community lens that we did about 6-7 months ago. There was a Bharatanatyam lens where based on your different hand gestures, it'll tell you what that natyam or what that sign means and explain it. And it was amazing the ability with which it was able to track even small things like that, right? So that's the second reason, because of the different features that are there. The third reason, which is important for an agency like us and for us, is many times we end up saying this lens can't be built because file size nahi hai, right? So thanks to Cloud Editor, there have been times where we had to kind of that saved the day, right? So sometimes when the 3D objects are too big and the visual effects required are a bit too much, with the cloud, with Cloud Editor, we're able to kind of build lenses that are larger than the normal lens size. So that's another big thing that is not there in some of the other platforms as well. So overall, I mean, absolutely love building on Lens Studio, and the one of the more recent ones that we're excited about is ML models and the ability to bring your own ML models. So that's we're doing some R&D on that, and that's very exciting as well.
Awesome. I think for anybody in this room who wants to either learn more about how to build a lens or work directly with a partner to build lenses, the three folks here represent some of the best work that's happening in the market currently. Adhvith, Sidhi, Sumeet, I appreciate your time. And for everyone here, I appreciate your time even more. I think we're done with the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.